Hello, loved ones. I'm Chris Keaton, and this is Random Acts. Welcome to this episode of Random Acts. I can't even believe it, but it's been almost a year since we started this version of Random Acts, and I'm having the best time ever. Just a blast all the time. I want to give a shout out to my producer, director, Andrew Depew, who's a great guy. He keeps me laughing all the time. And thank you very much for letting me do this. And I want to thank the people here at Blue Ridge PBS for such a great studio. And they let me come in here and be myself, and I appreciate that very much. So, talk about being myself. I got a few things I want to talk about today. One, saw a couple of signs this morning, and this is just kind of, what I see. This one, it said, we're looking for dreamers, believers, and go-getters. And I thought, well, that's good. That's cool. And then a few minutes later, I see a truck that says it's a pest control, and the name was Killinger. And I thought, well, that's cool. Killing is in the name. So, I don't know. Go from dreamers and go-getters to killers. I don't know what that means. Sorry. But here are five things about me that you may or may not know. Number one, I have a really bad habit of pointing at people when I'm talking to them. My wife, Gina, it drives her nuts. And she's always going, stop pointing. So if I'm ever talking to you and I start pointing, please remind me not to point. Thank you. Also, number two, I don't particularly care for it when I say thank you, or like I say, thank you, and the response is, no problem. I think it's supposed to be, you're welcome. Okay. Also, this one really drives me nuts. When I say excuse me to somebody as I'm passing by, I go, excuse me, and they go, oh, you're fine. I always want to say, hey, just tell me something I don't know, okay? All right. One benefit of writing the book Dapper is because when I used to go places all the time, people go, hey, man, you look so dapper. You're really nice. Well, now when they say, hey, man, you're really dapper, I go, well, I ought to. I wrote the friggin' book. So anyway, that's it. And then number five, earworms. You know those songs that you just can't get rid of? Well, I think this is the mother of all earworms right here. And it's a TV show theme. Green Acres is a place to be. Farm living is a life for me. I won't go any further, but now that's my gift to you. You'll be stuck with that for the rest of the day. You can thank me later. And I'll say, you're welcome. Okay. Storytellers. We are all storytellers. We tell our own story. We're parts of other people's stories, and that's what we do as human beings. Well, today, my guest is a total rock star, and I mean total rock star. Great guitarist. This guy looks like $1 million, and he's a dear friend of mine, Eddie Perez. He plays guitar with the Mavericks. If you've not seen the Mavericks live, please, you owe it to yourself to go check them out. Between his playing, the rest of the band, and then Raul singing, it's a show not to be missed. I'm telling you. So I got Eddie on in just a few minutes, and he's going to blow you away. I promise. And there's always a through line. My through line has always been music. It will always be music. I will always talk about music and tell stories, and I hope that you will always come back and let me talk to you and tell you stories and listen to your stories too. Eddie's coming on in just a minute. Hang on. All right, friends and neighbors. I told you I was going to have somebody really cool on here today, and I'm telling you what, this guy is an absolute rock star with a capital R one of my favorite people in the whole world, Eddie Perez. Eddie, how are you?
Good morning, my friend. It's lovely to see you. I'm doing great.
Man, I just got to tell you, this is so much fun for me. Just so I can kind of let people know, you and I got to meet each other at a Grammy event a few years ago, and then that's become like our annual date because we run into each other every year.
That is true. Yeah.
And it's just so much fun because I love your musicality. You are the lead guitar player, and you're also one of the mainstays on stage of the Mavericks. And it's always fun to see you, and it's always fun to hear you talk. So, man, so what got you into playing guitar? How'd that all start?
Boy, Chris, I have been playing so long that it feels like it was always, it was second nature to me.
Yeah.
I really got my started playing. I had a big, I wouldn't say a musical family, but my family really loved music.
Hmm.
And being, Mexican American Latino from Southern California, uh, you know, we're very our family at the time was very, together all the time, and it was a way that my family used to kind of communicate and have good times with each other, and they used to bust out instruments. My grandfather used to play, Mexican mariachi music, and he would be the instigator. He would pass out instruments to everybody, regardless of whether he knew how to play or not. He was one of those, and so
Yeah.
I think it was always around. My father is probably perhaps my biggest influence in music. I grew up being his little buddy, but he loved all kinds of music. So I think it's through all those circumstances, just being around it all the time. I just I when I started taking to it, I took to it rather quickly. It was, again, I say second nature, but I want to say by the time I was 8, 9 years old, I was already teaching myself, all the chords to the Beatles songs.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, I was so into it, not just because I wanted to be a part of all that, that fellowship and all that stuff that was going on with family, because as a child, that made me feel connected and
Yeah.
great. But I was also training my ear without even knowing it, because of all the music that my father exposed me to, and he loved. I mean, he was taking me to concerts when I was 10, 11, 12 years old. So I can't really remember a time where it wasn't in front of me all
Yeah.
the time,
Yeah.
and it just, over the course of my life, I got very lucky, and it became something that over time I became somewhat pretty good at.
Yeah. Well,
you know
no, I would say so. Yeah. But I mean, that makes so much sense to me hearing it now because I cannot imagine you not playing. I mean, you just have this, it's like it's part of you. The guitar is not something that you put on. It's like an extension of who you are. So, and you also play so many styles. Where in the hell does that come from? I mean, most cats play one way, right? And they
right.
they find a lane. Your lane is multi lanes to me.
Yeah, that's, well, again, my perhaps my greatest influence, my late father, but he used to tell me, Eddie, there are only two types of music, good and bad. He said, and he would say, he said, why not love it all if you really dig it and it
Yeah.
moves you?
Yeah.
He says, let that speak to you and let that guide you. And so, growing up in the 70s, I mean, I was fortunate enough to grow up in that era where, talk about, having the template for the era of the rock star.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, as a 10-year-old kid in, 77, I'm looking at that and I'm just soaking it all in while I'm teaching myself and learning how to play.
Yeah.
But we had music in the house all the time. Again, it was everywhere. From in the car to at home when we'd be doing our chores, and on the weekends, dad would have those consoles we used to have back in the 60s and 70s.
Oh yeah.
Big pieces of furniture.
Yeah,
with
the big wood thing. Yeah.
yeah, they were huge, and then well, he would put records on them. and he would allow us to pick them, but it was anything from Sinatra to James Brown to Buck Owens
Yeah.
to ZZ Top. I mean, it was everything.
Yeah.
And I think that it was from there that I started getting a vocabulary and understanding the spirit behind the music, even though as a child I really didn't know or how to articulate that. But as an adult now, with all the experience, looking back now, I can tell you that that's what I think I was doing. I was so into it. When they say that some people, I got lucky and I realized that I had a natural calling for it. And I had an environment that helped support that in the sense of the love of it.
Yeah.
But in terms of supporting and knowing how to navigate in the business and all of that, my journey has been one foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
You talk about following the yellow brick road, man.
I love that.
Dorothy, that's me.
So
and
your yellow brick road though. So it starts in Southern California. Tell me the journey from there to Nashville, and then because I know you played with other people before, Dwight and a bunch of other people to get to the Mavericks. Give me a little piece of that. So how you got from one place to the next.
Right on. Okay. So, in the early 90s, I'm talking 90, 91, somewhere around there, is when I started going out and started trying to meet people, trying to, in club scene in the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
I hooked up with this one band. It was a local band in the neighborhood. I'm talking like 1991. Okay.
Yeah.
This is way back. And this is at the starting of my journey. I had already been in some teenage bands and whatnot, but nothing that was that had taught me how to really be in a band and what it took to do it and to tour and to all of that, So, but in 1991, I joined this little local band, and it's from this band we would do like swap meets and birthday parties and, but nothing serious. And the players were, it was what it was, but it was a great experience because it taught me how to navigate and how to network, and through, of course, this crazy life, it is a lot of the times it's not necessarily who but what but it's who you know.
Oh yeah.
And so I started just making friends and all the time working on my craft. I was also very serious and very ambitious and driven about it. I there was also that too. So I started just meeting people, and I started going to clubs. I started hanging out at some of these, like I would go to car shows, vintage, because I love vintage cars.
Yeah.
I would go to record swap meets in Pasadena, California. We had this amazing record swap meet that we would go, and you would see a lot of rockabillys and a lot of, at the time in Southern California, there was a healthy, not only a rockabilly scene and a swing, jump blues and swing scene, but there was a blues music scene as well. And it was pretty vibrant. And there were, this is back when there were still small little venues and things like that to go and congregate and to meet and to play and whatnot. And so really it kind of got started there. I found myself in a particular situation where I got asked to be a part of like a blues band. And it's through that band that I started kind of immersing myself into the music scene, started amassing some friends, and then, one thing leads to another, then I meet another person. But my real pivot moment came around 1995 when I met an artist, my good longtime dear friend, artist named James Infeld.
Yeah.
Okay. James, if anybody knows anything about the rockabilly scene in the 80s and 90s, James was a massive part of that, and still is, but he's full on Renaissance man. I mean, he's an actor, a director, a writer, a musician, a singer. I mean, he's one of those guys, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he was already immersed in the business. He was at least 10 years my senior. So he had connections in Nashville. Whenever Nashville people would come to California, they'd ask him to put a band together. And me playing guitar for him, I kind of got to go along for the ride.
Nice.
Well, it's in the mid-90s era where I really started meeting people from Nashville that were doing what it was that I wanted to be closer to.
Yeah.
Right. So I'd already had the musical background. My father was born and raised in Bakersfield, California. So that's where I get the country music from.
Yeah.
You know, he was coming up with Buck Owens and Merle Haggard and Tommy Collins and all that stuff, Cliffy Stone. So I got to know all of that through him as well.
Mm-hmm.
So at the time, the experience and the networking started meeting the ambition was around 1995. And then by 96, I'm already going out and doing small tours. And since then, I basically I've not stopped. I've been on the road with somebody somewhere since the mid 90s, other than those 2 years of the pandemic.
Yeah.
But I've lived pretty much most of my adult life through the lens of a touring musician,
Yeah.
It's been an adventurous life, and it's been, I've just always tried to remain the same, just put the best of myself behind it because it's genuine. You said something earlier about when you see the Mavericks on stage and you see what it is that I do with the Mavericks. It comes across in the way that you perceive it because it is intended that way. That's how I feel it.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do this thing any way else other than to throw myself completely in it.
Well, to me, it also, what I hear and what I have seen from seeing you play live, it's a joyful thing. I mean, you are spreading joy to the audience, and not only that, but you're feeling it come back. And it just makes this whole thing work. I mean, Raul is the same way. This is just my perception of it. You guys feed off of the audience, and you're feeding the audience the joy. It's a beautiful thing to witness. I mean,
thank you for saying those lovely things because it is absolutely that experience on stage as well.
Mm-hmm.
The whole rigmarole starts about an hour before the show. Everybody starts getting ready. We're in the buses and playing music, and we're having a cocktail or two, or maybe more than that. But
yeah,
and we're playing the tunes and putting on the duds and whatnot. I mean, the show has already started an hour before we even step on stage.
Wow.
But we're in the bus and we're having. Again, we're longtime buds. I mean, all of us. I mean, we go back almost 30 years at this point.
Wow.
And we've been through a lot, and that's saying something because I think we have such a unique thing together that the friendship and the decency and the kindness and all that stuff, that has always been at the forefront of what drives the Mavericks. If we don't have that, there's really nothing. How do you spread joy if you don't have that foundation?
Yeah, it's true.
So what people feel from us, it's one of the things I'm the most proud about after all these years is that we still have that. We still have the joy of hanging out with each other and cutting it up with each other. But then when we step on stage, there's an unspoken seriousness, and the seriousness is about the joy and the fun and spreading that and being in the most honest, real, if you can say, perfect moment we can be in.
Yeah.
And I would tell you that the moment we step on stage, we feel that stuff coming off of the audience right off the bat. So yes, so it's a circle, and the audience and is every bit as important as Julio on the trumpet or Paul on the drums. It is a communion, and that is what we try to spread. That's what we try to achieve. That's what we go with the intention of doing. It's not just to put on a show for people. We're there to have a party and have a good time. I mean,
it's almost like it's almost like you're inviting the audience in. It's like you're getting the audience in on the joke. It's not a joke though, but you're inviting the audience to the party that started an hour earlier on the bus when you're putting on your duds and you're tuning up and having a cocktail or two or three or you know. But it's just a fun. It's just a fun thing. I mean, again, watching you guys play, I'm envious of that because it's obvious that you're just having a good time. And it's
a joyous occasion, when people ask me, like there's a question I get asked a lot in interviews and whatnot. It's like, and the question is always, you've been known as a genre-defying band. How would you describe your music? And I said, well, I don't use those terms anymore because it doesn't matter. I tell people we make joyous music.
You make good
That's
music, like your dad
that's what we
said.
do.
Yeah.
Right, and all that vocabulary and all that experience, and I'm not the only one in the band that has that. See, the special thing about the Mavericks is that each one of the players that's up there, we all have the same sort of vocabulary. It's a very wide, very massive
Yeah.
musical vocabulary, because we're and the other thing that's one of the biggest elements of all is we're still fans. We are
Yes.
still fans of doing it. I mean, I've had moments, Chris, on stage where I've forgotten that I'm participating in the moment. Like, I'm having such a good time. I'm like kind of I still feel that I'm an audience member, and that's still what drives me. I'm it drives everything.
Yeah.
And for me at least, and so I seriously think about that. I think about the good time. I think about, if I was going to the concert, if I was paying for the ticket, I was sitting in the seat and I had my beer and my hot dog or whatever it is,
Yeah.
and I want to see something. That's how I approach that. I approach it with that point of view. But at the same time, I'm the one contributing to it. So I have unique moments like that where I sometimes I go along with the ride as it's going on, and sometimes I snap back into it. Wait a minute, I'm contributing to this thing in the moment. Yeah, it's been yes, it's exactly as you said. It is as joyous. It feels as joyous. It's solid and connected, and I feel after all these years that we're still doing it in the same fashion, and also at the same level. I mean, the band is extraordinary, and I feel it's a very special thing. And thanks for allowing me to highlight some of this stuff. Yeah,
Absolutely, man. Well, look, before I let you go, two things real quick. First off, your sense of style is absolutely off the charts. And I want to tell people, go see these guys play. You'll see a massive, different costume, not costume, but it's like, I asked you this before. It's like, dude, who's your tailor, man? I mean, because your clothes, you dress the part, you are the part. And again, like I was talking about with the guitar, it's like it's not something that you hang around your neck. It's part of you. And also part of you to me is just this whole persona, this style. You have the look that you would be unapproachable, but you're not that at all. You are totally approachable. You make eye contact with people, you smile at people, and they feel your heart. I feel it all the time, every time I'm around you, and I want to thank you for that.
Oh man, thank you, brother. That's softly kind. I appreciate that.
Well, you're very welcome, and you're very deserving. So let me ask you, if people want to follow you, how can they find you on socials?
Well, I'm one of those. I'm one of those dinosaurs, man. I fight it as much as I can. I don't know. It's a lot of it is not my bag, especially how divisive it has been in our society. I sometimes I have to watch it. But that being said, you also have to live in reality too. And the reality of our business is that socials is a big part of the way of how we can connect to people. Correct. How we let them know what's going on. You can find. I only do two things. I do Facebook and I do Instagram.
Yeah.
Okay. And quite honestly, when I'm not on the road and dedicating myself to that whole life and then traveling and whatnot, besides being a homebody, then I spend all my time with my 18-year-old son.
There's nothing wrong with that.
He's my true masterpiece.
Yeah.
And he just started college, and so we've been busy together doing lots of things, and it's an interesting point to be at now, because what I'm realizing in this age now at 18 is that the parenting, everything that I knew about parenting, it's like closing the book and starting another one, because now he's a young man and a young adult, and now the things that I have to teach and the things I have to influence are different things now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So besides the music, I'm the proudest thing that I can say about myself is that I'm a really great father. And that's the number one thing for me, most of all.
Yeah.
But you remarked about the style and about, where does that come from? Real quickly, I'll tell you, I've always been into fashion and into art ever since I can remember. At one point, after getting out of high school, at one point, I even went to the Art Institute in Pasadena.
Wow.
Took some courses there, and I was about to I was about to go to the Fashion Institute in LA as a graphic illustrator.
Wow. No
Okay,
kidding.
that's what I thought I was going to do. So when you talk about the fashion and you talk about, um, also I because I travel, I have the privilege of traveling all over the place. I find pieces of clothing, and I find stuff everywhere,
Yeah, yeah.
and I just put it all together, and it's one of the things that absolutely helps me to stay engaged. It helps me to stay creative. It helps me to be excited again. It's been a long journey to stay inspired, to stay creative, to stay open. Above all,
Yeah.
you have to find things and you have to work on that. It doesn't come easy. And so I'm always finding stuff, and the fashion and all that. It's just another extension of, like Dolly says, figure out who you want to be, and then start being it. Right.
That's it.
Well, that was me since as long as I can remember, man. I mean, I always wanted an adventurous, moving life where I went out and saw things and met people and just experienced it,
Mhm.
And I feel so grateful to be in this situation after all these years. And had I not been in this situation, I would not have met somebody as fantastic and fabulous and awesome as you, my friend. So thank you for the invite to allow me to come on here and gab a little. But
Dude.
I certainly enjoy seeing you, pal.
Well, listen, you're so welcome. Eddie, you're one of my favorite people on the planet. Don't stop. In fact, never stop being Eddie, because you are the man. We love you. Eddie Perez, thank you so much for being here. God bless you
Thank
and the
you, pal.
Mavericks. And just
Thank
take
you,
good
brother.
care.
Okay, bye, everybody. Thank you.
Good. Is he not the coolest looking guy ever? I mean, truly, he's a sweetheart of a guy. He's as friendly as they come. And when I talked about him smiling and making eye contact with people, he really does. He does that all the time. Okay, now I'm going to tell you a story. So, a few years ago, I was fortunate enough to get a call from this guy named Michael Monaco, who is a video director in Nashville and around the country. I mean, he's really, really well known. He's really good. And he was shooting the Luke Bryan video for the song Light It Up. Now, he told me I was going to be featured, and it was going to be kind of cool. And so they had me come to Lipscomb University in Nashville to the gymnasium, because essentially what it was going to be centered around a basketball game. Well, I walk in and I'm ready to go, and I'm sitting on the court side, and there's like 10 basketball players out there. Well, one group of them is in white outfits, the other one they're in a different color, and I had no idea who they were. I just figured they were actors like me. Well, that they were actually actors, I was just playing me. So my role in this video was to be a reporter and follow one of the guys into the dressing room and ask him questions. Well, again, I had no idea who this guy was. Well, it turns out he was actually, and still is, an NBA basketball player. His name is Jimmy Butler. At this point in time, he was playing for Philadelphia, I believe. But I mean, this guy's like, you mention his name and everybody knows who you're talking about. He's been on GQ and Esquire and all these magazines, Sports Illustrated, the whole nine. Well, Monaco is telling me, ask him questions, get a reaction, just ask him anything. So I was asking him stuff, and Monaco yells to me, ask him something that'll make him really react. And so I just held the mic over and I said, dude, do you still live at your mom's house? It was not the best thing for me to do, because he looked at me like he was going to kill me or like beat me up or something. And I was like, well, this is not that great. So then we take a break. I walk out into the hallway, and these two big dudes come over and go, dude, do you know who that guy is? And I'm like, no, he's an actor, right? They said, hell no. It's Jimmy Butler, man. You ought to watch the way you talk to him. So I did. But anyway, I am in that video, and I'm not really featured. And in fact, at 27 seconds in, you can kind of see the back of my head. But anyway, it was a joyous and fun experience. And that's the way that I got to meet Jimmy Butler. Now, maybe if I get to see him another time, we can laugh about it and we can just move on forward from there. Anyway, all right. So before I leave, I do want to remind you once again, please follow me on the socials, Instagram, at Chris J. Keaton, Facebook, Chris Keaton Music. I will get that one day. I promise I will. You can follow me on YouTube at Chris Keaton Random Acts. Ta-da, that's where you are. And going forward, please don't forget to buy my 2 books, Dapper, which I'm talked about, and the other one that I wrote about a subject I know nothing about, which is confidence, and it's called Confidence on the Fly. Do me a favor, do yourself a favor. They make a great Christmas gift. It's not too early to start shopping for Christmas. Trust me on this. But please get a copy of my book. You can get it at bookbaby.com or at amazon.com. And also, The Song Inside You. If you have always wanted to be a songwriter, but you put your career ahead of you and you did other things first, I'd love to talk to you about a plan I've got for you. It's called The Song Inside You, and you can look it up online, thesonginsideyou.com. So that's all I got this time. Thank you, Eddie Perez, for being here. Thank you, friends and neighbors, for being here. And I'm Chris Keaton, and I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. See you next time. Beautiful.